Captain, the ships. It's.
What is it, Skippy? Spit it out.
We're gonna crash.
Not on my watch.
Oh god.
Get a hold of yourself, Skippy. I'm gonna get us out of here. I can't. I've doomed us all, Skippy.
Okay, so, hi there. Before I start this, I am sick right now, so that's not good. But I just wanted to say thank you all so much for the support on my recent videos. Honestly, I didn't think this channel would do as well as it's doing, but I am so grateful for everyone who's taken the time to watch this channel despite listening to a complete stranger on the other side of the screen. However, it seems I've cultivated two types of audiences. One who is here from my redesigning old OCs video, and those who are here from my recent two videos. Now, I like both types of content, and you can probably tell by just looking at this channel that I'm not really strict with what content I make. So if you're not interested in one video that I post, just wait until the next one. It might interest you more, but thank you. Anyway, moving on. So, for the better part of the last 6-ish years, I have been developing a sci-fi universe inside my head. This is different from the redesigning OCs video, so we're not getting into that. And for the first few years, I'd only periodically come back to this concept. Until 3-ish years ago, where I made a rule for myself. Any new story idea must be in the sci-fi world. I can touch up on old concepts that aren't related to the sci-fi world, like the redesigning OCs video. However, most of my new ideas need to be in the sci-fi universe. And so, a couple of OCs and a couple of stories turned into its own cinematic universe inside my brain. Which means I have a lot of characters, most of which I've never drawn. You can see where this is going. For the first time in, well, ever, I will be drawing all of my OCs, all 70 plus of them, but this is part 1, which means I won't draw all of them in one video because during this project I experienced a bit of burnout. So, in this video, I'll be drawing around half-ish of them, and then hopefully in the next video, I can get all of them done. Now, you may be asking, is the VHS filter thing gonna stick while I'm drawing? I don't know, we'll decide. And yeah, I'll be drawing OCs and rambling about them because I have a lot of lore inside my brain. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So, starting off first, we have my first ever character that started this sci-fi world. His name's Rat. Originally, he was just some weird furry monster, but I decided over the course of this past 6 years to make his species into monkeys. I love the idea. There's two variants. There's the rainforest ones, which are purple and blue, and then there's the regular mountainous ones, which are whiter. And I would love to create a whole video on the world building of this species, because if I talked about this species for too much longer, I think I'd be here forever. The next one we have up is the Queen. The Queen. I'm gonna drop some factors about this species actually. So basically, they felt like they're very culture-based species, or whatever. Anyway, they decided that, well, having a democratic party is too complicated because there's too many points of view to all really factor in, and they're kind of at that situation where a lot of them see eye to eye, so they just started to instate the monarchy again. But anyway, this queen, she is one of the mountainous regions, that's why she's whiter than the rainforest variants, and she's very fancy. And you'll notice that with this entire species, they have a lot of elaborate hairdos, elaborate dresses, elaborate everything, and that's because they are very culture-based, and their planet, it has not a lot of landmass, so there wasn't much exploration, so to keep themselves occupied, they just decided to hone in on culture, expression, and sciences. So you'll see a lot of culture-based whatnots, like fancy hairdos, and hair is tied to how social hierarchies work. I'm so sorry, I'm really sick right now, so if I wasn't sick, I would be blabbering on about these guys. And that's Zrak's dad, by the way. He's relevant to Zrak's story. I haven't revised Zrak's story that much for a while, because his story kind of takes place in a sitcom style office sitcom, except it's like based on a union ship or whatever. It's like Star Trek meets The Office, and I'm just drawing all of the characters that are relevant in Zrak's backstory. This is his mom. She's cool, but say it with me, folks. Who dies early on in the story? The mom. So yeah, she's gone. I am deeply sorry. She was a baddie, too baddie to be alive. Oops, moving on. We have, now, this might come as a shock to you. Zrak has a half-sister. Whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Oh my god, well, Zrak's a clone baby, so his parents did make him, like, biologically he is his parents' kid, but however, the queen decided to splice some DNA in there, and this is the queen's daughter, so technically that makes them half-siblings? Anyway, she's very loyal to her mom, so her style's indicative of that. However, not with this one. This is the queen's other daughter. She's moody, she is emo, she is a lot of things, and she is still also Zrak's half-sibling. Anyway, another thing I wanted to mention about this species is that dyeing your hair is seen as poor people's kind of invitation into higher society, since they can't always do fancy hairdos like the queen can. And given the opportunity, these guys would be rocking like fucking ships on their heads, but I am so incredibly bad at drawing elaborate hairstyles, so for now this is what you'll get. But if the world wanted it, the world would have gotten it. Now, Zrak has another sister, but this isn't their half-sibling. This is his full sister, and her name's Kralika, and she's kind of cool, but she was forced to grow up real fast. Why? Because their mom's dead. She's Zrak's older sister, and she has a kid as well, and that kid's name is Kralili. Now, Kralili, she's a young kid, so, you know, she's not really put up to the same societal standards in terms of hair and whatnot. When I make a video about this species, I will explain everything. So, you know, she has more leeway into being allowed not to do fancy hairstyles, but she still cares about her appearance enough to tie it up and whatnot, but it's seen as more of just a childish thing, you know, because they're not actually doing much with their hairstyles. Moving on, we have the characters that are relevant to the office style sitcom aspect. So I just covered all of Zrak's relevant characters. These are now the characters he fully interacts with in the story. This is the ones the story's based around. This is Anthony. He is a engineer, but you know, he cares about his appearance. And you know who he has? You know what he has? You know what he has? You know what he has? A wife. You heard me correct. He has a wonderful wife. Her name is Emily. And you know who she is? The captain of the ship. She's the captain of the union ship that they're all based on for the office style sitcom. I don't know what to call it though. I remember coming up with a name. I think it was like Workspace. It was Workspace. That's what it would have been called. Anyway, Emily's lovely. I love Emily. She's kind of cool like that. This is Zrak's best friend on the ship. She's a teacher, and I don't know how to pronounce her name. I remember just pressing a bunch of buttons on my keypad to make this character's name. Anyway, she's a part of a species that secretes, like, I don't know. I really don't know. I need to revise a lot of the species that are featured in this video and whatnot. And anyway, this is her sister, who is kind of like a rebel. She's kind of crazy like that. She's not really relevant in the story, but I remember mentioning her a couple times, so she has to be drawn. This is their dad. He is just the epitome of dadness. You imagine a cool laid back dad. this is who you're getting. This is the dad, the universal dad. Sadly, he is a ginger. Don't come after me, please. But yeah, he's cool. He's a dad. He's just one of the dads, you know? I don't know. This is Narvin, and Narvin is a part of a species that is based on a cold climate planet, and the black markings on Narvin's face are actually to absorb UV rays that reflect off the snow. Ooh, biology, I remember stuff. Moving on, we have, now, I made this species when I was younger, and it's a species of, bat, humanoid bats. They don't have very big eyes, they don't have a lot of eye, so they wear a lot of bright clothes because they can't very much see well. But they do echolocate very well. So yeah, that was Emo, and he's a little kid, and this is his mom, and she works as the Union ship's medic. And Emo just kind of goes to school on the ship. That's kind of the thing. Now, the thing about this character, I just called him Pet because I forgot his actual name. But originally he started out as literally a pet for Kralika, but I'm gonna revise that or something. I don't know what to do with this character, but I knew he was relevant, so I had to draw him, obviously. Now, that was all of the characters from part 1 of Workspace. I will be drawing the rest of them in part 2, because most of the other ones are non-humanoids and they were very annoying to draw, so I will draw them next time. So yeah, moving on, we have... Okay, before any of you say anything, this character is based off my dead dog, because I really didn't know how to deal with my own sadness, so the character based off my dead dog, don't find me weird or anything. But yeah, this is the story that made me obsessed with my sci-fi universe. This is Kizza. She is a genetically cloned dog from a cloning facility that is riffed off the idea of those clone your pet facilities. She's cool as shit. I love her so much. And, you know, who knows, maybe I'll make a video about this. This, however, is her friend, Ablorin. And Ablorin is in the universe, because she's trying to find her lost sister. Well, left voluntarily. People from her planet don't normally go out. Because they're kinda solitary-based species. I will get into this. I will make further videos about this, because I am sick right now, and all this stuff, and honestly, if I had to wrap this all up in one video, this would be like hours long. That's a good idea. Moving on. This is Edric, and he is the love interest of Ablorin, as well as the third main character in this trio of kind of characters. He's like Black Widow, but if she was blonde and a man and taking down cults across space or whatever. He's cool like that, and he constantly has dramatic shading on one half of his face. It's a must. Anytime I draw him, he must have that. It is part of his character sheet. This is Kizza's adoptive mom. Now, you're probably wondering, I thought you said Kizza was a clone. She is. This is her mother, Teely, and I just thought it would be funny that humans would get to the point where they make names out of, like, objects, because, I mean, it's going that way anyway. But yeah, she's Kizza's adoptive mom. If I ever get around to explaining this entire story, I will explain Teely. This is, however, Kizza's dad. I love Kizza's dad's design. He is that kind of rugged, individualistic kind of guy. He's like real big into old Earth history, right? And that's where Kizza gets a love for it. Kizza devoutly calls herself an Earthling, even though she is not human. So she gets a lot of weird looks, but you know, it's fun like that. Now, these are Ablorin's parents. I like call them the Laws because there is lore about their species and whatnot. And all that junk. It's like a species that's very based in the family unit as a whole. You're not an individual outside the family, that kind of stuff. And the parents are seen as like the brain and the heart of the family in a way that they're the law, you know? That's what I kind of base them around, and they all have their unique individualistic colors and they share them and whatnot. But yeah, this is Avalorn's parents, and they're kind of mean in the story, but I will get into that with one of those videos. Also, I just wanted to clarify that Avalorn and Avalorn's parents are aliens. They are an alien species. I'm just clarifying that they're not human. I'm not happy with this drawing, and I really want to redo them because I hate them so much, but this is Edric's parents, and they were part of a cult, and Edric had to escape that cult when he was younger, and he's gonna take down that cult in the thing. I had no idea what I was making for these two. I just put random stuff on the page. All I know is I want it to be like gold related. I want the cult to be related to gold. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here at this point. We'll find out. And now, in this story, there is going to be 3 major films, some random TV shows, but after all those 3 major films and TV shows, there is another TV show, and it is based off this kid Driggy, and he is Kiz's adoptive son. I will get into it when I make a whole video about explaining this universe, because I will do that at some point if I'm not too territorial. But this is another one of Kiz's species. Her name's Snowball. She's relevant as a kind of advisory friend to Kizza later on in the series, but she's not really relevant in the first couple things. Now, who is this, you may ask? I don't like him. I don't like him at all. I need to redesign him, but he is Kiz's adoptive brother, and he is kind of a bit of a jerk, not gonna lie, he's a bit of a jerk, and I really don't like his design, so I'm gonna redesign him to be more in line with looking like a jerk and less of a Y2K aesthetic board, you know, with the traffic cone color palette. God, I need to redesign him. I hate him. I don't like him at all. But his name's Ven. Those are all the relevant characters in that story, which is called Kizza and the Wonder Dogs. It would be a really, like, goofy spoof of 80s films. That's what I would say. I need a... There are more characters relevant to this story, but I will draw them in part 2. Moving on. 3rd relevant story in my sci-fi universe. This is the, I think I called it the Little Lord's Dungeon Madness planet or something, but it is basically, what if D&D but a planet? What if you could only access this one dungeon on this one planet? And I will explain this planet in a bigger video because it is hard to explain. That is the majority of this video. This is the majority. Anyway, this is Thomas, and he's kind of like, he's a background character in this one, but he's like one of the lead's friends, and I will get into who the lead is because it will shock you. It will absolutely boggle your mind who the lead of this story is. It's Avalorn's sister, it's Avalorn's sister, it's Avalorn's sister, it's Avalorn's sister. Her name is Emran Den, Emish for short, and they never interact. Emma and Avalorn never see each other again in the story. I love making my characters suffer, but Emma, she's living out on this like D&D-esque planet to make some money so she can become a space racer. Yeah, and she's kind of closed off, but she's like Vi from Arcane, except she doesn't rush into things as much, you know? Like, she's not violence first, thoughts later kind of stuff. Following up, we have the secondary main character. Her name is Brielle, and she's a part of the Leono species, which is Rax's species, and she's a mountainous variant. And you'll notice that her hair is very laid back and very chill, and that's because she's off-planet. She doesn't have to abide by society, and also she never really felt connected to society. All of my characters are outsiders. Why? Because it's a metaphor or something. I don't know. I'll explain it in a big old video. About this whole thing. But that's not this video. This video is for drawing these characters. But I love Brielle. She's a girl failure. She's like Marcille from Dungeon Meshi Girlfriend. I love her. And this character, this is Star Child. It's a child made out of stars, and he lives on the planet, and he is the reason for the planet, you know? But I haven't thought about it that much, so, you know. And there are more relevant characters to this story, but say it with me, folks. In the next video, I will do them. Woo! I am... Yay! Moving on to the fourth relevant story in my sci-fi series, and there is more. Trust me, there is more. But this is William, and William, he's a space pirate. He's a space pirate. We had to have a space pirate. Anyway, the story is called Sea from Stars because it's a space pirate. But there's a word I'm missing out of this descriptor. Oh, gay. Gay space pirates. He's a gay space pirate. I had to have one of these stories in there. And William, I do not think Twitter would be able to handle this character. He has a lot of different issues, and he's a complex character, and Twitter can't handle those. Sorry, Twitter, don't come after me. Moving on, we have... I really like this character. I like him a lot. His name's Thornley, and he is one of the characters that is relevant to another character. If this was a TV show, he appears more in Season 2 than Season 1, but he's from this planet that doesn't have a lot of sci-fi influences, any at all. It is an uncontacted planet, so when he gets into space, he kind of jumps full force into it, and he's just living his best life in space at that point. But his name's Thornley. He has a thick Slavic accent. I'm just emphasizing that. Thick Slavic accent. This is William's adoptive father. But, like, in the way that it's like, oh, I'm not, like, in the way that it's like, he wouldn't say it's his father, but, like, this guy takes on a fatherly role in William's life. And he's been in the space pirate game for a while, so he has a lot of kind of health issues with his leg and his hand, and a lot of, like, he needs a lot of support with that, but he's very wise and he's very chill like that. He's a good man. He's a good man. Moving on, we have Ricotta. Ricotta, I love Ricotta. And originally I had her be kind of like this badass, but, you know, she's just a girl in the world. And she is Thornley's love interest. When he gets really interested in space and all this stuff, he sees this beautiful woman and he goes, oh yeah, yes, I want to be interacting with this woman right now. And he goes and he gets a number. Her name's Ricotta. I love her so much. She's so chill. She's so cool. She's so cool. Paris. Now, I said gay space pirates, am I right? Yeah, this is the second one. There's a second gay space pirate, Your Honor. His name is Paris. He's not originally a space pirate, but he is gay. No, he's not. He's actually not. He's asexual. Asexual homo-romantic. Yeah, all of these stories, they all have an asexual representation. I will point it out in a big video. In a big video, I will point it out. But yeah, this is my favorite little guy. His name's Paris. He loves William. A bit unhealthily so. But yeah, that was all of my OCs for this video, because if I drew more or if I explained any further, we would be here for a while, and I'm sick right now and I really want to get this video out, but or at least that was what I was going to say. I really wasn't happy with how I voiced over in the previous sections, because I kind of rushed by a lot of the, well, characters. This is, after all, a draw your OCs, is it not? And so, you know, I'll be going over those. Okay, so, first up, like I said, Zrak. He is one of the main protagonists in the Workspace story that I have constructed. And Workspace is a sitcom-esque style, office-esque Star Trek ripoff, essentially. But think more Brooklyn Nine-Nine on a spaceship, and it later encompasses a lot more serious kind of plot lines later down the track, especially involving Zrak's species, which would factor into his backstory. Now, I did mention before how I hadn't rethought his backstory, and for the large majority I haven't really thought about this story. All I know is that it takes place on a Union ship a Union ship, specifically an exploratory vessel, and this exploratory vessel is under the command of Emily. Emily is married to this guy Anthony, and like I said, I really didn't develop this story all that much. I had a slight obsession with only focusing on Zrak as a character, even though there was more than just that character. So a lot of this story revolves around Zrak dealing with his own internalization of what his place is in the world. Why was he made? Why is the queen so adamant about bringing him into the royal family when she wasn't before? That kind of stuff. Because, you know, I mentioned before he was a test tube baby. Yeah. But for the main general kind of consensus on Zrak, he's introverted, he's not very talkative. Differences for the rest of his family, who are all their own personalities and whatnot, but I'll get into those in a more detailed video. This is more just me trying to further my thoughts out on this video, because you came to see OCs. Don't even act like you did not want me to waffle on about these characters. Narvin and the other kind of members of this spaceship, they're background characters, so like Emo and Elash and Palk and that one character, Melaine. We'll go with Melaine. They're all kind of background characters more so, and there is the King of Venus, who I have not drawn. There is the King of Venus, who I have not drawn, and he is relevant to this story as well, but he will be in part 2. And Krellica and Zrak's biological family, they have relevance in the story later as kind of like a foil to Zrak. In the original story, Krelili would later get adopted by Zrak due to her mom being imprisoned. But I don't really like that, so I'm gonna do away with that because I feel like I really like the character of Krellica right now. I think she looks cool, and it would be a disservice to put her in jail. But yeah, it would kind of follow that, but I really haven't put too much thought into this. It would be more episodic, very Brooklyn Nine-Nine-esque. But I'll kind of cover that in a bigger video if that's something anyone would be interested in. Moving on, we have the second story that I was talking about, which would be the one that I am obsessed with, and that would be the Kizza and the Wonder Dog story. And it follows Kizza, Ablarin, and Edric. Those three specifically, they're the main kind of group. And I've kind of divided the story into like 3 major movies and then some side series afterwards, if that makes sense. For the first movie, we would follow the meeting of all of these 3 characters. Kizza and Ablarin would already be friends, but friends is a very rocky term, since it's more of a business friendship, co-worker situation. They both work as illegal bounty hunters. Kizza taking Ablarin under her wing, essentially, in the first movie, and Edric comes in and offers them some money to help him take down a cult. And Ablarin and Edric, they fall in love. Oh my god, it's a romance. I love these two. They're so cute together. I love them. I need to draw them together. I haven't drawn them together. Anyway, it's also about Kizza learning to open up and learning how to be an actual good friend to the people she cares about. Because there's always that one friend who cares a lot but will never show it, and Kizza is that friend. And that's all because in her backstory, her adoptive parents, after she escaped this cloning facility, met an unfortunate end, which is relevant in a larger video. I'll make a larger video about it, but yeah. And that was mainly because her brother had stolen something and people came to collect that debt. The brother, he escaped with his life, and they do interact later, but I would love to cover their story in greater depth because it's something quite personal to me. Then we also have Ablarin's parents, who are relevant in the second movie of this trilogy that I would hypothetically make, where Ablarin, she left her planet to find her sister who also left the planet. And that's frowned upon, so her dad puts out a hit on her, essentially, to take her back home and whatnot. And Edric and Kizza come in and save her in the second movie, and there's some more development of Edric and Ablarin's romance and all that jazz. And then the third movie would be about Kizza taking down this, well, cloning facility that she grew up in and destroying that kind of cycle of abuse and whatnot. And afterwards, she finds this small dog who is similar to her. I need to get into a whole big character analysis of that dog before I can actually explain anything that would happen to do with Driggy or Snowball, so we'll just leave them on the back burners for now. But yeah, Bratwurst and Teely, they do die because they're the adoptive parents, of course they die. But there's also more relevant characters in the future, and Edric's parents, they also die. I'm just saying it. I'm just getting it out of the way. They're dead. They're so dead. And that's one of the motivations for Edric. And third story we have is the Delilord's Dungeon Madness Planet. And that involves Emma, which is Ablarin's sister, as I've said before. And she's dealing a lot with how she fits into a world that, one, she never grew up in, and two, dealing with that kind of survivor's guilt of leaving a bad situation on her home planet and leaving her sister, the one person she cared about on that planet. And so she's dealing with that kind of interpersonal turmoil of, I'm saying that I'm only staying on this planet to get money to get a better life after I leave, but she never actually goes and takes that better life. She just stays put, and is through her relationship with the other character, Brielle, that she learns to kind of get out of that psychological torment that she's put herself in, whilst also opening up to another character and finding the perfect place between too open and just right with her. And then we also have some secondary characters such as Thomas and that Starchild character, who I'm not sure what I want to do with him later, but I do want to do something with him. And like I said, there's more characters, I just haven't drawn them yet. And then the last story that I have in this video is the one that is called Sea from Stars, which is a, like I said, gay space pirate story about this character, William, and his friend Paris, who originally meet as children when William crash lands on Paris's planet, a planet he should not be allowed on because it is a no-contact zone. I will get into union politics when I make videos about this universe. I love to waffle about this universe. But essentially, Paris grew up on this planet very lonely and very isolated, and he felt like he didn't belong. And when he met William when they were kids, and they hung out for a month whilst the ship was being repaired by William's parents. They got to know each other, and Paris then became obsessive. Like, not in a concern, I'll say, who knows. But essentially, after William left, Paris kind of became fixated on the stars, fixated on going up there and meeting William again, because he felt so discontented with his own life on the planet. And his parents, they marry him off, and he feels unfulfilled in that regard because he doesn't recognize it himself, but he is, he later discovers he's asexual, and he doesn't know that at first, so he just feels like there's something wrong in his marriage to this other person. But when he gets the opportunity, because he finds out that there's this amazing giant telescope that can see into the stars, and he thinks maybe he could contact William with that. He doesn't really know how space works. He doesn't know how sci-fi works. He's from this kind of planet that's from, like, imagine it's a sister planet to Earth, kind of, in the way, but it's like the 16th century. So, you know, Renaissance, I don't know. I'm not big into 16th century history. I'm more ocean liners and animatronics. But yeah, so he goes on this journey, but he ends up getting kidnapped because, you know, 16th century, you would get kidnapped sometimes, and that would just be a thing, and he had to work on this ship. And one time he sees a star shooting down from the sky, and he goes, and it's William. And William takes him up into the stars, but begrudgingly, because his ship that he's working on now is kind of low on crew. And I am explaining the story way too much. I've gone way too in depth with the story. Oh no. But, you know, long story short, both of William's parents dead. All parents are dead in this universe. I don't know why, I don't make the rules. And he's adopted by this crab lady, and kind of the conflict of the entire series is William dealing with breaking away from this abusive parent, while still kind of not being in the healthiest mindset himself, and being quite, subjectable to more abuse from this parent, whilst she's quite disapproving of Paris and this healthy relationship within William's life that he's never really experienced before. Paris needs to learn that William is not this be-all and end-all of his kind of life situation, and that William is just a person like himself and will not solve all of his issues. And then we have Thornley, who is someone from Paris's planet, comes in the season 2, if this was a TV show, and Ricotta, and Thornley and Ricotta's dynamic is one of like a bittersweet kind of situation, where Thornley's just jumping into the sci-fi world because he's felt like he could never be himself on the home planet, and now that he's out there, he's really jumping into everything, and he's jumping in full force, full commitment, and Ricotta just doesn't see it that way. So it is a bit of a bittersweet moment. But yeah, I thought I should explain a bit further about these characters, because I want to do them justice. They're my characters. I've been obsessing over them for like 7 years now. They're kind of like, they're my favorite things. And so I just wanted to do a bit more justice with them, rather than just glazing over all of them and whatnot. So yeah, that is my characters. In a second video, I will explain further about this stuff, but I'm just chugging this out there because I wanted to create something. I wanted to put something out into the world. So yeah, hope you enjoy. And these characters are really important to me. They have been a part of my life for a while, and I do hyperfixate on Kizza and her story a lot, because I don't know how to deal with my grief properly. I do. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm perfectly fine with the passing of my dog, and I'm just remembering her by putting her into a story. So, yeah, I'm kind of not doing so great because I'm sick. Sorry, I keep on mentioning that, but hopefully you enjoyed this video? Question mark? I don't know. It's a bit different from what I post. I don't know. Any of my videos are different from what I normally post. All of them are different. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you'd like. Or don't. There will be a part 2 to this one. I'm not as burnt out, but until then, I am burnt out. And now I really want to make like a 3-hour long video about my sci-fi universe. I will do that. Trust me, at some point I will. I think I will. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you later when I'm not as sick. I'm dying. Thank you. Goodbye.